Lowcock is the UN Humanitarian Affairs Undersecretary General. He joins us now from New York. Thanks so much for speaking to us. We appreciate it. Help us understand, first of all, what we're really talking about here if something isn't done now, because we have to be brutally honest. The world is all too used to hearing about famine, especially in poorer countries. Why would it be so much worse this time?
Well, what's happened alongside the spread of the virus is, of course, we've got this huge global recession, and that is leading to a plummeting of incomes for tens of millions, hundreds of millions of people in the poorest countries. Now, if you're in the very bottom group of the population in those countries, you're entirely reliant on your daily labor to make a living. And if you don't have a chance to go out to work, which lots of people are not at the moment because of lockdowns and because jobs are disappearing, you have absolutely no income and there is no social security system. So our projection is that because of this problem, which is a subset of the problems that the virus is creating, of course, that there could be 260 million people over the next several months who could be in exactly that position. And so they will only survive, those people, through the provision of humanitarian assistance. The good news is this is a problem the world can solve if we want to solve it. In 2017, we were threatened with 4 famines. We staved them all off. So we can solve this problem if we act now and if better off countries are generous.
If countries are generous. This is a difficult time to be generous with everyone's economy struggling. Do you think you're going to get the aid you need?
Well, in the first 6 weeks, when we first launched our plan, we raised $1 billion. And the message we're conveying to the better off countries is it's entirely right to spend 99% of your effort looking after your own economy. But part of a smart strategy to deal with COVID and its consequences is to spend 1% of your effort thinking about the wider world as well. Because if the virus gets embedded in these other countries, it will come back as a boomerang to affect everybody. And if there are famines and instability and social unrest, we know that people move and that space is created for extremist and terrorist groups. So everybody, even in the better off world, has an interest and incentive, not just a question of human generosity, but a national interest in trying to protect these poorer places too.
Okay, let me raise another issue with you, because we are seeing agricultural production in a number of countries also on the decline. So here we have a lost capacity to process food, along with a lack of food. We're seeing in the United States, for example, some farmers saying they might have to kill some of their animals because they can't get them processed. So at a time when we're worried actually about famine, can more be done to at least maintain food production worldwide?
Yeah, so the current situation is a bit different to the situation we saw in the financial crisis in 2008-9. At that point, there was a big increase globally in the prices of food and fuel and fertilizer. And that put enormous strain on the global food supply chain. The situation we see at the moment is generally in the countries which are the biggest food exporters and producers, supply is being sustained. There are some localized problems of the sort you've alluded to, but generally supply is being sustained. The reason we face the risk of famine in lots of places is not because of the availability of food across the planet. It's because too many people simply have no income to purchase it. If you're a slum dweller in a very large, poor African city and you lose your daily income, the only thing you have which can keep you going is what humanitarian agencies can do. So that's why this is a solvable problem. There is enough food on the planet to feed everybody. We need to make sure everybody, though, has the purchasing power to acquire it.
Right, but that's where I struggle, because if food production does decline, as we're expecting it to, we're seeing it already, it's not about people being able to afford food or not. It's about being able to keep production going so that aid can be given. I think that's another way people can help. It's not just donating the billions that you need, it's also providing solid food aid and continuing to provide that. But if the production's not there, that food aid could disappear too.
Yeah, you have to do both. You obviously have to produce enough food globally, and at the moment that is happening. We need to make sure it keeps happening. But then you need to be able to ensure that everybody has access to the food. Famines typically around the world happen when people lose their purchasing power. They lose their entitlement to acquire food. And we need to deal with that end of the problem as well as the production end of the problem.
Okay, Mark Lowcock, we'll leave it there. Thanks so much for joining us. We appreciate it.